Dr. Gio, can we start off by discussing like how you went from teaching to working in the sports field and then transitioning to the business side of things?
Sure. It's a story of fortuitousness and some randomness in life. I was getting I had an academic bent growing up, getting my PhD at Emory University on a fellowship, with the intent of being, a classically trained academic and a college professor, and studying psychology under arguably one of the best psychological researchers in the last, maybe 50 years, a guy named Frank Baharis.
Sure.
But what was happening is that the psychology I was learning was not being applied to sports or golf. It was, highly theoretical, highly empirical psychology. And having grown up in sports, I thought, boy, if you could bring this social cognitive, it's called social cognitive theory, Bandura's social cognitive theory, into golf, I think it can make a real splash. Because I grew up playing the game. My dad used to tell stories about it. So anyway, went on to become a college professor as I intended at Rollins College. And while I was there, I just started doing a couple small little studies in social cognitive theory and golf. And amazing results started to happen. Academically, you apply a theory. It's having a thesis, and to watch it play out, it shows up on the scoreboard. And eventually, I ended up getting a phone call from Jack Nicklaus's son, Gary Nicklaus, and working with Jack Nicklaus. And at one point or another, I ended up working with all three medal winners in the 2016 Olympics: Henrik Stenson, Matt Kuchar, Justin Rose. But it was never intentional. It was all because I was just curious, trying to test out a psychological theory, and in the application of that theory, golfers started playing better, to the tune of over 50 professional wins. And I've never given a golf lesson. I've literally never given a swing lesson, but changing people's mindsets would change how they play the game, and the fearlessness with which they play the game. And then eventually I started winning. So the golf thing happened to me, and eventually it became bigger than the academic thing. So I was out at the U.S. Open, out at Chambers Bay, when I first got the call from Steve Cohen. His chief of staff reached out to me, and the way that happened, I'll tell you very quickly, is somebody had read Fearless Golf in the banking world. They emailed me and said, "Hey, your book speaks to my job as an investment professional. Would you coach me?" So I ended up coaching this. It was about 15 years ago. I ended up coaching this person, but I never sent them a bill. We worked for about 6 months together, and then 8 years later, I get an email saying, "Hey, my career's doing great, and I need a guest speaker. You never sent me a bill. I really enjoyed our work. Will you speak at my conference?" So I went and spoke. And in the audience was one of Steve Cohen's portfolio managers, who
Wow.
heard the psychology of how I do what I do. He flew back up to Point 72 and said, "Hey, you guys got to listen to this guy's coaching golfers, but it sounds exactly like coaching PMs."
That's amazing. And what was the whole experience like meeting Stevie Cohen for the first time?
Well, it was fascinating in regard that I wasn't immersed.